You recording?
Yep, I am recording.
Well, the date is December the 14th of 2018, and this is an interview for school. Please introduce yourself to the camera, including your name and your age.
Okay. My name is Don Covington. I'm 76 years of age.
Okay, start off with the basics. What branch were you in?
Army.
And were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I volunteered. Actually, I joined the Naval Reserves when I was in high school, and I kept getting seasick on the Great Lakes. So when I graduated, I joined the Army instead.
And what was your opinion on of the war at the time?
Well, at the time, I was in after the Korean War and before the Vietnam War started. And so I really didn't have an opinion then because there wasn't anything going on.
What about now?
Well, as in a lot of the wars, I think we get into a war that we shouldn't be involved in. We're the policemen for the whole world, it seems, and so World War II, at least, it was a bunch of nations that got together to fight the Germans, but so I think that Vietnam.
It was like unnecessary for us to be in.
Yeah, and the problem with the Vietnam War, all the other wars we had up to that point, you could tell who the enemy was. They were in uniform, and you were fighting across a battlefield. But in Vietnam, there were no. They were in just regular clothes.
And then
Well,
the jungle. Yeah.
for them, regular clothes, and they'd have children come out with weapons, and you never know who your enemy was, and that was hard.
How did the Vietnam War affect you, and what was your experience like during the war?
Ladies and gentlemen, be careful over here, it's wet.
Well, it didn't affect me at that point, but later on, after I was discharged, I came back to the United States, got my teaching degree, and then I went to Guam, and I was in Guam from 1967 to 72. The Vietnam War was still going on then, and the B-52s that were bombing Vietnam were flying out of Guam. And so in my school, every morning and afternoon, you'd have these B-52s were very loud and so forth, flying. We couldn't talk at all. But that was not the hardest part. I was also chaplain at Anderson Air Force Base, and I met the AirVac planes coming back from Vietnam, where you had these young soldiers that were 18, 19, 20 years of age that were paraplegic, had arms and legs blown off, and I had to go and tell them be of good cheer. Well, you know, that was the hardest thing about it.
How did the soldiers entertain themselves like during the war? Like, what would they do to like keep their hopes and spirits up?
Well, they played a lot of cards. If they were in a safe enough area, they would go out and shoot some baskets and this type of thing. And they did a lot of drinking.
Of course. Do you remember any particularly humorous or unusual events that happened?
Well, again, the uncool events were those young guys that I had to counsel with, and there was nothing humorous about that. When I was in the Army, stationed in Germany, the war was just starting. At that point, they were asking for volunteers to go as trainers for the Vietnamese Army, and you would live in a hotel. They put you up in a hotel because they didn't have barracks for us, for them, and it seemed like good duty. We get over extra hazardous pay duty and so forth, and I was just about ready to volunteer, except I was close to the end of my tour, so I didn't want to re-enlist to go to Vietnam, which is was smart. When I got there, I was in Germany from 1961 to 63. At that time, the Berlin Wall was just going up, and I thought we were getting involved in another war then. But like I said, the Vietnam War was just starting up, and so they extended everybody in Germany, well, in probably all throughout the Army, for another 6 months. So you thought you were getting out, and then all of a sudden, you got another 6 months to go.
Were you ever wounded during your service?
No.
Okay. How were you treated when you came back home?
Well, the problem that I saw, not personally so much, because I came back when it was just starting up, but the guys that came back from World War II, there were parades, and there were, everybody was happy to see them come back, and they were heroes. When the guys from Vietnam came back, they were booed, and they were made to feel ashamed of what they had done. The problem was they went where their government sent them. It's not that that's where they necessarily would have gone.
Did you keep in contact with anybody that you fought with?
Well, again, I didn't fight, but I didn't keep in contact with any of the, no. And I've gone to the Vietnam War, Vietnam Wall, and I've looked for some of the names of some of the soldiers that I knew had fought in that war, and it was sad to find their names there.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
No. Like I said, I got a medal, a good, what do you call it? Where you don't mess up, a good behavior medal or something. But where I was, there was no medals given out.
Okay. And last but not least, what was one thing that inspired you while you were out there?
Well, again, I wasn't in Vietnam, and it inspired me to see the soldiers that were coming back, their inner strength. I mean, I don't know how I would have handled what they had gone through, but there were exceptions, but generally speaking, they were just glad to be back and glad to have fought for their country. And because not all the ones I saw were wounded, so that inspired me. Their diligence and their patriotism.
Well, that was my last question, but if there's any other things you would like to say.
Well, it's, like I said, I was probably not the best one to speak to, since I wasn't in Vietnam. But it was, while I was on Guam, I said I was chaplain for the Anderson Air Force Base, but I took the place of chaplains that were being sent over to Vietnam, and they were going on a month's TDO, temporary duty, and I would take over their services, and that's how I ended up reading the Airvacs. But because I was a civilian. So,
Well, thank you for your time. And
well, thank you. I wish you luck on your